Windows Pocket PC was an old mobile OS made by Microsoft, meant for PDAs to begin with. However, it later expanded into the smartphone market, with Microsoft renaming it as Windows Mobile. It was built on Windows CE, which means that normal NT programs couldn't run, but the ones from CE did, as well as Pocket PC's own application ecosystem. WinMo died, with its last version, 6.5.3, being a stopgap measure for the delay of Windows Phone. Windows Phone would start out by again having CE kernel, albeit not compatible with WinMo or PPC's app library. That would rapidly change, as Microsoft had the disaster that was Windows 8 on desktop, but also had Windows Phone 8, which Microsoft finally managed to stuff NT into, therefore making apps from Windows Phone 7 incompatible. Last version was Windows Mobile 10. Don't question why it went back to mobile. And Windows Phone died, and is no longer supported thanks to the fact that the app library for it wasn't big and the market share was small. Well, that was fun. Now we're getting into the meat. Firstly, this one is the HTC Max 4G, i.e. the first Windows Phone with 4G connectivity, released only in Russia because, well, Yota. Windows Phone is, you already got it from the context, but yeah, smartphone. But its UI doesn't usually look like this, because HTC added that into them. Basically, TouchFlow is external launcher status, because yeah, the screen ain't capacitive, so like programs, here you have applications and such. This thing had YouTube, but it doesn't work because not only I'm in Russia, also this is an old client, so it couldn't create a connection between YouTube and that. I can't draw whatever I want. I can undo. I can undo if I wish, but yeah. And here's a quick ugly sketch of my character. I'm actually left-handed if you didn't know, but yeah, left-handy. Here we have a actual camera, but by no means it's actually good at video taking, so yeah. I mean, you can even see in the preview it's lagging. There we go. Yeah, not amazing. Like Windows, it has an actual task manager over here, so you can close them so and so because it keeps them running in the background even if you close them. Google Maps actually works on here, but I cannot show it right now because internet. There's a video, but no way to plug in the headphones because this odd port uses it, so. And for the games, we got like a few of them here. Let's try Zoomer, which is an accurate port of this game. Yeah, this is an old port of Zoomer. Yeah, it works as it works. There's the classic bubble breaker, which is basically installed on all PDAs or old Windows phone devices. We have Worms, of course, my favorite strategy game. That isn't Tetris, of course. Oops, tripod. Right, quick play. No, I don't want to tutorialize myself. I know how to play. This is actually better than the Java port somehow. Shotgun. I'm trying to aim. Can you be patient? I'm trying to aim with this weird aiming system. Even the sounds are hard quality compared to the other ports. We have a PlayStation emulator, but I've tried it and it's horrible, so not worth showing it. And let's test the limits with Tetris. Seems smooth. Well, smooth enough right now, but that bound to be changing. And now it's where it gets really intensive for this unit because a lot of sprites, and also there's just a bunch of built-in Yota programs. I mean, Yota cabinet, which just well, it's not a built-in program, it's just a Yota has like infused itself even on the built-in browser somewhere. Internet Explorer, the shitty internet browser that eventually got abandoned because Microsoft lost the steam to even be competent in development.
And its built-in page is just the Yota screen logo.
I could browse if I want, but not today. The Yota Center, which needs to be installed, which, you know, I'll press. And here's the Yota Center, basically. Another UI on top of the UI that already exists. Well, that's enough of you. Let me put this stylus back. Push this. And see ya. And now this is the HTC HD Mini, i.e. the HTC that was a miniaturized version of the HT2, which you probably heard a lot about it. But this one ain't the best of that, because it couldn't even run Media with the Wish. The only system you can even try to run that isn't that is Android, but even then I couldn't even get to that, so yeah. This doesn't have a resistive screen, it's actually capacitive, so hooray on that. It doesn't call itself a touch flow anymore, it's actually something else. There's the information about the program, but it's gonna load it into IE. It's the system 6.5, which is the stopgap version of Windows Mobile. Vanilla. Is that Mozilla, but with menu? They rearranged that for Windows Phone 6.5. Capacitive screens, which means better way to play the games, right? Well, not all games actually supported that. Let's start actually emulating a system first. Mario. This Mario. It didn't run that, didn't it? Oh, and it doesn't pull up the menu actually anymore, it actually is this full screen. I guess you can still press the task manager, which is this. Right, back to whatever I was trying to do, running the game in emulator. Well, no, never mind. Even though there's an SD card in there, it can't read any of it. Marketplace, which was Microsoft's late attempt at saving the platform as much as possible, but not. And instead of owning IE, you actually have a good browser this time, Opera. HTC slapped their branding on that. And yeah, having trouble to load because we don't have an internet signal. You can pull this for, you know, applications, and you can add them, like, and look. Here it is. You got contacts, messaging, which again empty, email, internet contact, yeah. And also the platform that hates everyone. Speaking of PlayStation 1 emulator, I forgot about showing it, so how about I show it now? Thankfully, I already have it on the SD card, well, as in the game. We have a path thing, which of course means we can play game. It ain't gonna work with multi-touch because it didn't recognize that because it only thought of HD2 and the game isn't launching. What's going on? Yep, here we have actual game. I had to fiddle with the settings in order for it to actually work, so... Yes, we got the lesson, Parappa. Oh, you look happy. It's surprisingly running it decent, despite the hardware on it, so yeah, the amazing skills of the emulator programmers. Well, it did its best, but I mean, you can clearly tell the audio was having a bit of an issue with keeping it up, so yeah. Let's try native games that isn't emulated, like Chuzzle. No music. Creepy, isn't it? But yeah, it is Chuzzle. A decent port of that, even. Let me shut this down for a different game now. Of course, people are gonna ask, can it run Doom? Which, I mean, technically, yeah. It is Doom, and also I cannot exactly use the multi buttons because it doesn't do that. Oh, and also I can do that for some reason, which, okay. Hello, Zonk. Time to die. Looks more like I'm gonna die. Thank God the game doesn't care about where you're aiming vertically. And now the orientation is screwed up, so which means the home menu doesn't work anymore. And of course there's Bejeweled, which should work, of course, if it loads. Well, I feel like it's not gonna even load because it screwed up something, so let me just set aside that. What on earth is this? So you're maybe wondering, what is this? Well, this is the G7i, a WinMo bootleg of a HTC Desire, which usually runs on Android. Backstory to this is that I found it in a local pawn shop. Didn't think much of it first, then the Phone-Tastic Discord egged me on to get it. So I did it. Not much is known about this phone, so if you have any inquiries or answers to this weird bootleg, you can write something down below. And I'm gonna be going now. Well, thanks, piece of garbage of a paper. That's a little more context about what that thing is. And yeah, as you can see, it's still on Windows 6.5. And this menu is actually the native one, i.e. soon like menu they say, but I don't think it's soon at all. Oh, it feels like it. But hey, it works. Same old as before. Camera app the same, despite it not being from HTC. I like how there's a dedicated button to the home screen, like push this and you're back here. This middle button is like the OK button, the back, you know, goes back, home button, and this house button, which was the home button, is actually the, you know, the phone thing, and I shouldn't be here to begin with. Everything else besides the HTC things are here, like the marketplace, and here's the calculator, which looks very crusty compared to everything. Oh, not actually, but still, it's crusty. Internet Explorer on here, but there's also Opera, but I installed it. And then there's this, the Shed, which, yep, attempts to mimic a HTC menu. If I push this middle button, it changes into this menu. If I press this, you can see, well, the screen menus, and press that, which brings me back to this. Oh, and also as a result of that thing in here, if I press that, there's this toolbar that doesn't usually exist, I feel. You got your pictures, which I can do that by scrolling. Now onto the games, actually. Let's first flex the skill by, you know, using Quake. And yep, running it smooth. Let's try single player. Here we are. The game. Of course, I cannot move exactly, so I have to remap a button, which, well, whatever. I had to remap it, but plays at least decently enough for this software. I'll place the video here if I still have it. Are you sure you want to quit? Yes. Here's the default native volume system. And you can tell immediately it's crusty because, yeah, very crusty indeed. And here's the zoom port I was talking about. And this port is actually very accurate. I mean, it works. And let's try something else while that game is running in the background. Surely it ain't a bad idea. This of course has Pac-Man, which I think it's an emulator. They somehow managed to port a main emulator onto Pocket PC. This thing actually does 3D, I think, like here, but it doesn't have a GPU compared to the HD menu, so I don't think it's gonna run too well. Well, what did I tell you about PlayStation graphics last time? Because it definitely still looks like that on here. Time to speed! It was actually on the HD mini, but then that happened, so I guess we'll be trying to hit it on here. This is basically a showcase of the tilting function if this thing had it. It does actually have the tilt function. Yeah. It has a sensor, which I mean, yeah, that's amazing for this bootleg core player. That's an old crusty thing. Bubbles. Well then, that's the Windows CE section done.